Alright everybody, so what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be reviewing my games from the San Bruno Premier Challenge where I used a really cool team. We're going to get to it in just a few of the games and show all my games from Swiss, my games from Top 8, and I'll be talking about the opponents, a bunch of the stuff that could have happened in between the games, other Pokemon that they could have brought, and overall just my experience in San Bruno last weekend. So hopefully you guys enjoy some of this stuff. We're starting off round 1. I'm actually against one of my friends that went with me to the event. His name's Jelly Sound. You've probably seen him in my chat all the time. So I'm bringing Rotom, Heat, Gengar, Garchomp, and Gastrodon. He's bringing Kangaskhan, Greninja, Talonflame, and Aegislash. There's a lot of people at this event, and it was kind of funny that I had to fight one of my friends in the very first round. But if you guys don't already know, my Mega for this tournament is Sceptile. And I'm not bringing Sceptile this game. Sceptile's worst matchups are Aegislash, Talonflame, Kangaskhan. Greninja also is a pretty bad matchup if it's dashed Greninja. So I mean, like, I could not bring Sceptile versus Jelly Sound. He also knew how, like, the gimmick combo worked. So I had to just go with normal boring stuff, go Scarf Rotom, Gengar, Garchomp, and Gastrodon. So we're going to start this up, get right into it, and show a pretty funny battle. It's kind of weird. You're going to see something that makes absolutely no sense, but it's going to be the reason why I win, and it's going to be pretty funny. So he's leading off Kangaskhan and Greninja. Potential for mat blocks, potential for fake outs, a bunch of really good stuff here. But I know the way this guy plays. I've played against him a bunch of times. I know he's not going to Mega Evolve with Kang. I know he wants to go for the scrappy fake out on Gengar. That's just how he always is. So we switch out into Garchomp. Garchomp eating the fake out here. Remember, Garchomp packs that rough skin, and I'm pretty sure my Garchomp's actually holding a Rocky helmet today. So pretty cool stuff, doing a bunch of damage on Kang on that switch in. Also, we're using a Scarf Rotom in this tournament, so we're Volt switching, super effective on Greninja's Water Dark typing, as we see its Sash activate, and we switch out, of course, into the one Pokemon that will 100% block all the Scalds. We're going into Gastrodon here. So Gastrodon has that ability, Storm Drain. It's going to absorb all water attacks on the board, and it's going to activate and give it a 1.5 boost with special attack. So really, really good turn 1. I neutralized all damage, other than just a little minuscule damage from Fake Out, and did a bunch of damage to Kang. So starting off turn 2, we see Kangaskhan going Mega, gaining Parental Bond. It's going to be making all its attacks hit twice, but this is where he really messed it up here. I mean, I don't really know how to describe this. We're going to see the funniest thing happen this turn. So he goes for the Ice Beam, right? So Ice Beam, targeting the Garchomp slot with Greninja, pretty standard play, that's why I protected. We see Return from Kang. Return is a normal type move, which is actually based off your happiness. It didn't really do too much, did it? That's because Jelly Sound, before this tournament, traded over his Kangaskhan to the game that he's using. So his Kangaskhan hates him, and that means his returns are doing, like, no damage. So at this point in the game, I'm not gonna lie, it's already over. His strongest move at this point is Sucker Punch, so it's gonna be able to do a hell of a lot more than Return did. It's gonna activate my Citrus Berry, but that kind of sucks, and I totally feel for him here. Like, not having Return on Kang, not having a normal type move to use, is pretty terrible. So we get a free Dragon Claw off here, and we get another Scald off here. I think we ignored the Aegislash that turn, and we go for nuking the King, and unfortunately I didn't get a burn. That would have been pretty cool. But Aegislash is going to get a free Flash Cannon off. I think he's starting my Garchomp, but you guys can pretty much tell, since that Kang doesn't have any real normal type move to speak of other than Fake Out, this game is pretty much over. We're making a hard switch out into Rotom Heat, and we know that none of his Pokemon can KO my Gastrodon at all. His Kangaskhan's weak, his Aegislash, well, he's actually borrowing my Aegislash. So I know that that thing is a weakness policy, Aegislash, and then it's not going to work. He goes for the Sucker Punch on what was my Garchomp slot, and is going to go down to Scald. So that kind of sucks for him. He has Aegislash left, and we know that his last Pokemon is Talonflame. So Talonflame coming out here. Normally Talonflame's great, but not in this matchup. We see it go for Protect here, not wanting to eat anything from any of these Pokemon on the board, as we just go for a straight up Overheat on the Aegislash. I could have went for a Discharge play. That's the play I normally like to go to, but I just want to go for the Overheat, chunking the Aegislash quite low. Remember, we are activating its weakness policy, but I know how much damage my Aegislash can take, so we put it nice right in the red right there, activate the weakness policy, and then go for a Scald. We completely ignore Talonflame, since he has no KO power in any of my Pokemon at this point in the game. So Aegislash is getting faint, and that's the raid boss off the board. It's Talonflame versus the world. I'm going to withdraw my Rotom so I can use an electric type move whenever I want to. Switch into Garchomp here as we see the Talonflame go for a Brave Bird. It's only out, but at this point, I mean, I think we even finished our match before the judges even said we could start. That was kind of funny, but anyways, yeah. Since his Kang didn't like him, this match was just a complete joke among friends, but it actually was counted for the tournament. So this is my first round. I think it would have been a completely different game if his Kang loved him, because he would have procced my Citrus Bear on the first turn, which meant he could have went for like a turn 2 nuke on Kang. Or sorry, on my Gastrodon slot. So that was the game 1 against Jelly Sound. After this round, I gave him my Kangaskhan. He played the remainder of the tournament with my low kick double edge Kangaskhan, so I don't know. I told him, I was like, man, you gotta be my tiebreaker. I need a good tiebreaker. And then I won all my rounds and I didn't need one. So that was round 1. We're gonna get round 2 put up right now. Let me know what you guys think of that game. It wasn't that great, but you can't deny that I played it the correct way to play it. It was pretty funny when we had to actually get paired up with each other for the first round. I was like, man, you want to give me back that Aegislash that you're borrowing? Alright, so we're starting off round 2 here. This guy's running a rain team, and it's actually going to be using Mega Sceptile here. Remember, this is the Sceptile series. That's the name of this time of regionals, I guess. Cause I guess like winter is Sceptile series, spring is like gonna be like Blaziken or Swampert, or probably Swampert, and then summer's probably gonna be like Blaziken or something. But this is the Sceptile series events, so we are gonna be using Mega Sceptile, Rotom, Heat, Arcanine. Arcanine against the Rain team, not the smartest choice, but also Gastrodon, because Gastrodon's great here. And we're going to see Politoed, Tornadus, Mega Swampert, and Ferrothorn. I see a bunch of Ferrothorns this event, so just got to watch out for these things. This is actually a pretty long game, and it's one that I just should have lost. So we're going to start things off, get into it right here, and Mega Sceptile is going to put its carry pants on this game. So we see him issuing a challenge right there. He's leading off Politoed, Tornadus, and this actually makes me think, oh man, if that Tornadus is Scarfed, I lose the game. The game is lost if Tornadus is Scarfed. Normally, I would Mega Evolve here, go for like a Leaf Storm and a Discharge. But I don't know if that Tornadus is Scarfed, and I can't not risk it. Like, I can't risk it. What I could have done is just protect it with Sceptile, then I need a Hurricane, and this one for Discharge, but then that opens up my Rotom to eating a Scald or a Hydro. So I just take the safest play I could possibly do, Hard Switch into Gastrodon. I actually get a Para on Tornadus, which is kind of cool. Doesn't really come into play that much this game. And he goes for the Hurricane. Hurricane, 100% accuracy in the rain, gets the 30% chance confused, so we're even in hacks so far. It's going to activate my Citrus Berry, and we all know what Politoed's going to be doing this turn. Politoed is going to be firing off one of those water attacks. It's going to be Scald, gets redirected into my Storm Drain, and I get the 1.5 boost. So overall, great play. Chunked the Tornadus, chunked the Politoed, got the boost on Gastrodon. Unfortunately, I got confused. But we are just going to try to push our lead here as far as we can. We see Tornadus tries to protect, it gets it even though it's paralyzed, which is kind of risky, I would say. We go for a Discharge, it's not going to hit. And this turn would have been huge here. Remember, it is raining. I have a special attack boost, and I'm trying to go for the Scald, but I get hit in confusion. I tried to Scald the Politoed slot because I knew he was going to switch. So we're going to force out Tornadus here. Tornadus is going to go down, and he's going to go into Ferrothorn here, the Steel Grass type. Not the best thing to be chunking with Discharges, but hey, I'll take it. So he's going to go Mega with Swampert. This guy gains the ability Swift Swim. I know a lot of people really like Mega Swampert right now, but I still think Mega Sceptile has the edge in this matchup. I mean, just like a little bit. Just like 4 times. A little bit. Anyways, we're going for a Discharge. And the way I see it, I'm actually safe with Gastrodon on the board from any moves from Swampert, really. So he goes for Ice Punch here. You notice he has to get Gastrodon off the board. So it does a decent amount. And I'm still confused. I'm trying to use something, and I hit myself confusion again. So I paralyze another Pokemon, but I hit myself confusion again. So it's not really the best situation for me. I decided to switch out, go into Arcanine here to put an Intimidate on these 2 physical attackers. I also just want to be able to switch up my Rotom. I would like to be able to come in after the rain is gone and go for an Overheat or something on the Ferrothorn slot. So luckily, Gastrodon snaps out of confusion, and I'm going to use Protect. And what's good about Protect here is Storm Drain will still activate. If you were to go for a Waterfall on my Rotom slot, which is now Arcanine, it would get redirected into my Protect, which is pretty cool. We're then going to see him go for a Gyro Ball off the Intimidated Ferrothorn, not do that much. And we're going to see Ferrothorn get forced out, deciding to send Tornadus back in here. Not a terrible choice, but it's pretty obvious he's going for the Earthquake. And I'm just hoping that some of my Pokemon live. I mean, I didn't really know. It's really hard to say, just because I wanted to go for an Extreme Speed and just chunk the Swampert for just a little bit. But I thought Arcanine might be able to just live the Earthquake, just because I got that Intimidate off, and it is spread damage. But the Stab on the Earthquake will let it pick up the KO on Arcanine, as I send in Sceptile now that the rain is gone. So now that the rain is gone, it has to start up again, obviously. He hard switches out Tornadus for Politoed, and since we see Politoed coming in here, we can pretty much expect that he's going to go for a very defensive play with his Swampert. He doesn't really want to eat like a Leaf Storm or anything super strong, so we have to expect him to Protect, and I just played this turn super safe. I Mega Evolve, I gain Lightning Rod. He can't really use electric attacks, he can't use water attacks, so I really like using Gastrodon and Sceptile at the same time. I think they have great synergy. I went for the Dragon Pulse on Swampert to keep it honest, and I just went for a Scald on what was the Tornadus slot, because Gastrodon would have been faster than a Paralyzed Tornadus. So we do decent damage to Politoed. We're going to activate its Citrus Berry though, so it's potentially out of range for Dragon Pulse that might come into play later in the game, as Gastrodon will finally switch out. Finally, Gastrodon's switching out, but it'll be back later. Switching in with Rotom Heat here and going for a Protect with Sceptile. So, pretty smart stuff. I'm just trying to mitigate some of the damage here. He actually goes for a very ballsy play, going for an Earthquake, which wouldn't really have done that much damage to Sceptile. It would have finished off Gastrodon. But luckily, Rotom switched in. And then Rotom eats an Icy Wind from this Politoed. So that kind of sucks. I'm pretty sure Rotom is faster than everything, but now it's not faster than Sceptile. If I would have went for like a Discharge here, it wouldn't really be able to work correctly. So we have to switch Sceptile out. Don't want to eat an Ice Punch. We switch in with Gastrodon here, right? We're switching in with Gastrodon on this board. It's so dangerous as we see his Politoed switch out into Ferrothorn. I'm trying to block a water attack, and he takes the bait. He goes for a Waterfall in that juicy Rotom Heat slot, activates a second Storm Drain. So Gastrodon's got two separate instances of Storm Drain procs here, as we're trying to HP Ice down this Swampert in the rain. And he's just going to start going for Protects, and I think I'm going to do like the same thing. Yeah, we go for a HP Ice, it's not really going to work, as Gastrodon goes for a Scald here. Yeah, I didn't want to go for a Protect, I guess, and he goes for a Gyro Ball. He wasn't paralyzed, that would have been pretty nice. Oh well. It didn't really matter that I went for the attack there or the Protect. If I went for the Protect, he just would have been able to do something next turn, and because both of our Protects would have been off cooldown. So finally, my last Pokemon out here, I have a Rotom Heat locked into HP Ice and a Sceptile. And I'm pretty sure he has all four of his Pokemon. He still has all four. So he finally gets that Waterfall he's always wanted. Of course that's going to pick up the KO of my Rotom Heat, and it's Sceptile versus 4. Whoa. Whoa, Sceptile versus 4, but the rain is gone. So we're looking at it, all he has to do is Protect and switch to Politoed. He goes for an even better play. He's like, I'm just going to Protect with Swampert and try and KO him with Ferrothorn. But we have Focus Blast with Ferrothorns. Ferrothorn is my biggest nemesis. We pick up a KO with a crit Focus Blast. I'm pretty sure it wasn't needed. If Ferrothorns are full HP defense, Focus Blast usually kills. This is where he messes up here. He could have sent Politoed out here. That would have been great. But he sends Tornadus out here. And I think he either misclicked or something, sending that thing out in the first place. But he switches out into Politoed, and everyone knows when you have such an advantage that this guy has, you don't need to Protect and try and be cute. You just gotta try and slam all your Pokemon into their Pokemon, and hopefully you win. Hopefully you trade cost ineffectively, but you still win. His Swampert is gonna go down to a Dragon Pulse though, because his Protector's already on cooldown. He totally messed that play up. And then we're gonna see Tornadus come out here. It's a little bit late. He tries to go for the Protect, but things are just spiraling out of control for this guy. We get a Dragon Pulse off on Tornadus. It's going to pick up the KO, and it's Politoed versus the world, and we already know that Politoed only has Icy Wind. He's actually going to go for a Scald here. He was hoping for like a burn, and then like he would have like protected. That's what he said. I think Icy Wind still would have been a better option. The crit Icy Wind was probably his only option. At this point in the game, he was just so on tilt, because he was still taking like a minute for each of his turns. This game almost went to time And he was just so on tilt, he was so messed up that he definitely misplayed into giving me that game. So, first game of the tournament, I won, just because I beat my buddy, which is kind of cool. Second game of the tournament, this guy throws hard. Hard throw. Like, that's some crazy miles per hour on that pitch to throw that hard. And I win. Sceptile versus the world. Going into round 3. So we're still undefeated. We're sitting now at table 1. Let me add up this code here. Let me know what you guys think about that round 2 game. Alright, round 3. Let me add up this code. Alright, N98U. Okay. So this is our round 3 game. Like I said, we're undefeated, and this guy's team uses Mega Salamence. So Mega Salamence was actually the Pokemon that Mega Sceptile and the team based around Mega Sceptile was made to take out. At the time when I first made the Mega Sceptile team, Kangaskhan was by far like the best Pokemon. And Mega Salamence was gaining a ton of popularity going into Lancaster last year to defeat Mega Kangaskhan. So I was like, alright, well, I'm going to ignore Mega Kangaskhan. And I'm going to beat all the people that are bringing Mega Salamence to beat Mega Kangaskhan. So when I see people using Mega Salamence, it makes me very happy because Sceptile outspeeds Salamence and it makes Salamence just a big useless Pokemon. So that's pretty much the way I like to look at it here. Also note that this guy doesn't have a fake out user, which means I can lead with my Rotom Sceptile combo, just rinse and repeat, just bap 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 bap, and get multiple Lightning Rod procs and try and win the game. So we're going to start this thing off, get right into it. Like I said, we're at table 1 from this game, so it's pretty cool. There sadly wasn't a stream, or else this definitely would have been on stream. Alright, so we see Salamence and Heatran. Salamence and Heatran. And I'll get to Metagross. Yeah, I see that you typed Metagross. So, Salamence and Heatran. Normally, this isn't the best board for Sceptile. I mean, I want to KO that Salamence, but if Salamence protects, Heatran is going to chunk me for a ton. So, we're just going to go Mega here. One good thing about this board is these two Pokemon have very limited KO pressure on Rotom. The Pokemon I'm going to bring every single game this tournament. I think I lead with it every single game because it's the best Pokemon on my team. So we see him going Mega Salamence. I went Mega Sceptile, and I'm expecting him to protect. So he just goes for it. Or sorry, no one goes for it. That's what happened, yeah. He didn't go for it, and I went for it like the ballsiest play ever here. We get the Para on Salamence, right? And then I went for a Focus Blast on the Heatran. I miss a Focus Blast, and he goes for a Double Edge. So we lose Sceptile this turn. Yeah, I remember this game. So the first game against Jelly Sound, I got lucky. Second game, I got lucky. Third game, I'm definitely losing. I lose my Mega for free. I totally introduced that wrong. But we've chunked most of his Pokemon. Heatran gets up a sub, and I'm trying to remember exactly how this game came out, but it doesn't look like I win, huh? It looks like I should lose. But we send out Gastrodon here. Gastrodon, a great Pokemon to pair with Rotom to go for multiple discharges. Remember, it's ground typing. He's going to let it avoid that electric damage. And like I said, I really just expected Salamence to protect first turn because Salamence is not faster than Sceptile before Mega Evolving or even after Mega Evolving. So luckily for us, we went for the nuke on the Salamence slot. And we're going to pick up the KO, evening the score. But there is still a Heatran with a sub on the board. Like I said, luckily for us, my two Pokemon are Pokemon that don't really care about Heatran. So we see Aegislash come out here. I'm expecting a Wide Guard, but I'm realizing if he Wide Guards, he has absolutely no KO pressure on anything. So we go for a Discharge, and we're going to break the sub, luckily, which is then going to let us, or let me say, we also paralyze the Aegislash, which isn't super important. He's then going to go for a Flamethrower with Heatran. Not really the best thing here. Like I said, he has like very limited offensive options in this point in the game. We get a Scald off on the Heatran, picking up a KO, and this is how I win the game. He just brought the wrong 4 Pokemon. This guy should have probably, what else? He had Milotic? What else did this guy have? I don't remember writing his team down. I think he had a Terrakion. I think he should have brought it. So, we're going to see Aegislash then go for a Shadow Ball. Like I said, it didn't go for a Wide Guard that turn. and Gastrodon is luckily for me going to be left with 23 HP and enough HP to activate its Citrus Berry. So pretty good stuff. These are the last two Pokemon, and if he was ever going to Wide Guard, this is for sure the turn to do it. He's still in kind of the same spot with Heatran where both of his Pokemon don't have great KO options on my board, but I'm definitely the person in the driver's seat here. We're going to protect with Gastrodon. We're going to see Aegislash go into that Stance Dance, going for the King Shield, and it's going to be pretty obvious what I'm doing here. Going for that Discharge, going to be able to layer up a bit of AoE in the board, potentially even trying to paralyze Milotic, because that's always awesome. Chunks it for quite a bit here, as we see the Milotic go for an Ice Beam, trying to target my Gastrodon, who protected that turn. So pretty smart stuff overall, and we just got to try to get the Milotic off the board. So no, Nicole, it's not going to Mirror Coat. Even if it did, it wouldn't really have mattered this much in the game, because it's gone. Because we get a critical hit. But yeah, he said he didn't have Mirror Coat. I asked him after the game anyways. So Milotic is going to go down. That crit was pretty important. Gastrodon's going to pop a Recover this turn. I was planning on eating the Ice Beam, but if I was at full HP like this, I would have been able to eat the Ice Beam plus the Shadow Ball more, or I would have just been able to eat that and been fine. He's going to go for the Shadow Ball. He's not going to be able to do all that much since I went for Recover. Remember, he's ticking out from Life Orb. I have a full board of Pokemon that are ready to take this guy out. Go for the Discharge. He's going to be able to pick up the KO, and we're 3-0. So, definitely lost Sceptile early in that game. Kinda sucks. I went for the play of ignoring the Salamence and going for a Focus Blast on the Heatran. I won't make that mistake again. How's that sound? So, what do you guys think of that game? I know Nicole said she wants to see more Mirror Coats on Milotic, and if anyone was going to do it, I think Nicole's the one person that could pull it off. Because every single time I seem to open up her stream, she's Mirror Coating something. It's ridiculous. Alright, we're going to search by code. We're going into round 4. We're still at table 1. Let me find the code. Look, alright, you guys are going to see what I'm fighting in a sec. But yeah, that game was fun. I definitely had it on the edge of the seat when I lost Sceptile on the first turn. That's the gimmick you go for with Sceptile. You are the glassest of cannons. Alright. So round 4. Still at table 1. Going against Mega Metagross this game. We got Rotom, Arcanine, Garchomp, and Sceptile. Note that this guy's team, I don't know if it had a Fake Outer, but it looks like it might have had a Fake Outer, which is why I don't lead with Sceptile here. So, we got Rotom, Arcanine, not the best synergy, but if I have to, I love going for this play when they lead Landorus. I have a potential play for an automatic KO off onto their Landorus with an HP Ice for my Rotom and an Extreme Speed for my Arcanine. I also have plays where I can go for a Discharge Hard Switch into Garchomp, and then I can go EQ Discharge from there. So I really like the Arcanine Rotom lead, and it bluffs a lot of stuff, and it's also really good against things like Metagross. So that's why I'm leading with this Pokemon. I also have Sceptile in the back. This was my favorite game of the tournament, and this is going to be the most hype game you're going to see me cast. Hopefully it's fun. Alright, here we go. So like I said, Rotom, Arcanine, 2 fire types. It also looks like it's the biggest bait for Gastrodon, right? If he wants to go for Hydro Pumps, he's going to risk throwing the game. So he starts off with a great Intimidate. I'm getting an Intimidate back as well with my Arcanine. And I'm really going to try to pick up a KO up on this Landorus. And he's going to read me like a book. He's going to read me like a book. He just hard switches out his Landorus, goes straight into Heatran. Probably expecting Will-O-Wisp. That's his play. I went for the Extreme Speed. You know I'm coming up with that HP Ice. We're not doing anything to Heatran this turn as we take Life Orb damage. So, not the best turn. Just like last game, I'm behind right from the start. This was a play I made up back in December of last year. And we see him miss a Hydro Pump, but this play is just so dated, and that's one of the things about this team. This team is a bit dated. So we're just going to hard switch into Sceptile, realizing that Rotom is the Pokemon we need to protect if we want to win. And if he wants to go for a Hydro Pump on Rotom, which he should have went for on turn 1, Sceptile would be fine. We're then going to see Rotom go for a second Hydro Pump. This one hits its mark on Arcanine. Super effective water damage, but Arcanine is quite bulky, being able to live with that just fine. Now, I expected he might do this, but I didn't really care. I want Arcanine to go down, and I will make Arcanine go down even if I have to do it myself. Remember, I'm holding that Life Orb, and I just want my Arcanine off the board. I would like to make room for Rotom as soon as possible here. So I'm going to Mega. Remember, I gained that Lightning Rod, which is pretty good. It kind of forces him to go for a Hydro Pump. He can't Thunderbolt to finish off my Arcanine. He has to go for a Hydro Pump, which is kind of cool. PPing out Hydro Pump is something important when you're using multiple fire types in your team. And we just go for a close combat on what was the Heatran slot. Remember, I'm Life Orbed. No matter what, I am going to be going down there. I actually thought about Flare Blitzing it, but close combat's even better. And if you would have stayed in, ooh, that would have sucked. So we actually are going to go down, and Rotom is going to try to do nothing anyways. So Rotom comes out. We got the board we want. He's expecting a Leaf Storm onto his Rotom Wash spot, and he switches out into the Metagross to block that. But I don't care about his Rotom Wash, because that thing cannot touch my Sceptile. We already know it doesn't have HP Ice. It would have used it before. We go for a Discharge here. Discharge going to hit everything on the board. Proc Sceptile's Lightning Rod. And, well, it doesn't really hit the Landorus. But it lets us get a +1 Leaf Storm off onto his Landorus, picking up the one-hit KO. And that's just awesome. That's the coolest thing in the world. So he's going to send his Rotom out here and, like, potentially buff a Leaf Storm. But I get a little bit lucky here. So he switches out, right? And he then goes Mega with Mega Metagross. So it looks like my Leaf Storm play onto that Rotom slot is the worst thing ever, because I'm currently at -1 after the Discharge proc. I'm going to be at neutral damage. So Metagross is going for Protect. Right, so Metagross not taking damage. We go for a Discharge here. We put our Sceptile back at neutral from -1. And then, now you'll see something funny. Because remember, I totally went for that Leaf Storm. I probably didn't have to. We missed Leaf Storm on Heatran, so we're not going to get the -2. We're not getting the -2. We're back at neutral. We're going to be +1 after this turn. I go for Protect because I want to scout any Protects or Switches he goes for. And this is why my opponent lost the game. My Rotom has been using Discharge since, like, turn 2 or turn 3, just spamming it. He keeps switching around and just taking tons of damage here. So we pretty much get ourselves to a situation where we're at +1 with Sceptile, and this Heatran just switched in and took a bunch of damage from Discharge, and that was it. So that was that. We don't even have to go for a Leaf Storm. We can just go for Dragon Pulse. We're at +1. We're going to pick up the KO on the Rotom Wash. And yeah, Metagross is not going to be able to cut it against this much offensive pressure. Metagross comes back out, but we already know it's slower than everything. Go for a Discharge. I think we're at either like +3 or +4 now. And just the damage is ridiculous here. We go for a Leaf Storm. It's going to hit. I think I do need the Leaf Storm, but doing 40% to a Metagross with a Grass attack is something pretty ridiculous. We also get the crit. And that is going to be round 4. This is against... guy's name was Tom. It's TFC's brother. So, pretty good player. He's recently went into Masters, and, I mean, his team was solid. He also had Talonflame. He didn't bring his Talonflame. Like, my team screams, dude, bring your Talonflame. I got the Sceptile. You should probably bring it. But he didn't. And, I don't know, I had a blast. That is how you play Mega Sceptile. Just spamming the Discharge Lightning Rod combo. It's my favorite thing in the world. So, what do you guys think of that game? Hopefully... you know, some of you guys enjoyed it, but, I don't know. We're going to go on to round 5 right now after I add up this code. Alright. Search by code. ANCW WWWW WW2T N9BC. Awesome. Yeah, I thought that last game was pretty hype. So, this is round 5. The winner of this match becomes undefeated. He has Politoed Ludicolo, another Rain user, Mega Salamence, my favorite matchup, and an Aegislash versus Rotom Heat, Sceptile, Gastrodon, and Gengar. We're actually going to be bringing Gengar this game. I haven't brought it much this tournament. I brought it against Jellysound, and that was it. And Gengar is one of the Pokemon that changed from the original core of the team. The original team that I topped Lancaster with was it was Rotom Heat, Sceptile, Gastrodon, Arcanine, Bisharp and Cresselia. We took out Bisharp and Cresselia because those Pokemon have pretty much phased out of the meta, and the Cresselia set was a dual screen set, and that's just not really that useful anymore. We put in Gengar and Garchomp, two really offensive Pokemon that also have really, really good typing that cover for Sceptile and Rotom's multiple weaknesses. So that's why we're running this stuff. We're going with Gengar, and we're going to be starting it up. Going into round 5, winner of this game becomes undefeated at the Premier Challenge at San Bruno. Alright, so we're starting it off. And I always want to note that when I see Pokemon that have fake outs, this team has a Ludicolo, it definitely changes the way I have to play the match. So first off, we're leading Sceptile Rotom, hoping that he didn't lead with it. But he did lead with it, so whatever. So my Sceptile will go down if it hits like any ice damage. We're going to hard switch out into Gastron, the same play that we went for in round 2. Remember, this thing has the Storm Drain to absorb all of the Juicy Water attacks. He goes for the Fake Out, of course, onto the Sceptile slot. That is the correct targeting. We go for a Discharge. Perfect switch into Gastron to complement the Discharge. We're going to be avoiding our own Discharge and layering up Discharges on my opponent. We get a Para on Politoed, and then we're going to get a Para on Ludicolo. Holy moly, isn't that freaking awesome? And then, even better, like, Hydro Pump's going to hit and it's going to activate our Storm Drain. That's the best turn I've, like, ever seen ever. And we still barely win. We're going to force out Politoed, coming in with Salamence here. This guy's falling into the same trap that Tom did last round. You can't just switch against Rotom Heat all day. It will not work. So we're going to go for Protect here, not wanting to eat a Giga Drain. We're just going to do a little bit more damage, praying for a crit on the Politoed or potentially even a pair on the Salamence. That's what I'm looking for here as we go for a second Discharge of the game. A little bit more damage on that Assault Vessel Ludicolo and a pair on Salamence. We're 3 for 3 on the 30% chance pairs as we see an Ice Beam on my Gastrodon slot. So we thought I would switch to Garchomp that turn, which is a pretty smart play. But at this point in the game, I pretty much have to either try and KO the Ludicolo or switch my Gastrodon out, and I would really not like to lose my +1 from the Storm Drain, so I'm going to make a ballsy play. I feel that I am definitely ahead enough to where even if he got a Giga Drain off, it wouldn't be the end of the world, and luck's been going my way, so let's hope that I either get like a crit here or he gets parried, because that would be the end of the game right there. He's going to get the Giga Drain off. Of course he's going to get the Giga Drain off. It's completely fair. Like, all these discharges I got, I didn't do these discharges trying to para things. I did these discharges to do damage. And I happen to para things. Note that speed tiering's differences from these discharges haven't really come into play yet. So Gengar's going to come out, it's going to protect. We're also just raiding out a little bit of the rain. We're going for a discharge. Remember, we have a Gengar on the board. Don't want to discharge our own Gengar. Just doing a bit more damage to Salamence here as he goes for a Scald onto Rotom. I'm kind of happy that Rotom went down that turn because Gengar can't really eat discharge, and I really don't want to paralyze my own Gengar. And just like that, he again has the lead here. He gets paralyzed there, but he probably went for like a type of an attack, like a Hyper Voice or Double Edge or something. So Sceptile is going to come out here. Are these my last 2 Pokemon? Yeah, these are my last 2 Pokemon. It's going to go Mega here, and I'm thinking, wow, I have certainly thrown this game. But even if I lost, I was still going to be in top cut. As I go for a Protect, not wanting to die. And we just go for a Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball going to be picking up the KO on the Salamence slot. I'm wondering if I could have targeted Ludicolo, but I don't know. We pick up the KO on Salamence, and he's paralyzed, and he said, like, he was like, damn it, because he said he actually targeted my Gengar slot. So very fortunate for me. He's then going to send out an Aegislash, and I'm thinking, okay, I see Aegislash over there. We have to KO Ludicolo right now, or else the game is actually over. So Shadow Ball comes up, pairing up with the Dragon Pulse, picking up a KO on Ludicolo. I was hoping Aegislash would go for a King Shield, but it didn't. So Aegislash, not King Shielding, going into that offensive stance, and it's going to be able to Shadow Ball, picking up super effective damage up off onto my Gengar, but activating my Focus Dash, leaving me at 1 HP. Gengar is going to live, as his last Pokemon's going to come out, Politoed here. It's Politoed that's paralyzed and quite weak, though, so it's not really the end of the world. Alright, so Politoed, starting to rain. We go for a Protect with Gengar, as I realized that I might be able to still steal this game out. He goes for a stance change with his Aegislash, and I'm just trying to pick up a KO on Politoed. If I can get a KO on Politoed and not lose any of my Pokemon for it, I think we're fine. I probably didn't have to Protect with Gengar. I probably could have just Shadow Balled the Aegislash, and then next turn went for a bait Protect play. But I will still settle for this, because if Gengar can get a big damage attack in onto the Aegislash and not proc a weakness policy, we have a chance. So if we go for the D-Pulse here, D-Pulse does almost nothing. And then we're going to see Shadow Ball come in. And remember, this Aegislash isn't running a Life Orb, so I thought it might have a weakness policy, but then we get a special defense drop. Yeah, there's the weakness policy. But note the special defense drop. It's actually very, very important. We know that he's obviously going to be targeting my Gengar slot here, but we saw that the very first Leaf Storm, or sorry, not Leaf Storm, Dragon Pulse did very little damage, potentially even less than its remaining HP. So if I wanted to pick up a KO from this HP, I would have had to use Leaf Storm, but we lowered its special defense. I told it he was just going to run right here. I told him to go in a defensive stance and try to live through this Dragon Pulse, because, I mean, why not? This is the last turn of the game either way. And, unfortunately, you know, he still is going to go down to the Dragon Pulse, and I am going to get the KO. So, good job for me, I guess. I totally hacked this guy out of the game from the very start. I got 3 paras, and then I lowered his special D when the time counted, but, I'm now 5-0. I'm the undefeated in the tournament. And like I said, after this, we are going on a lunch break. And then when I mysteriously come back from my lunch break, all of my opponent in the next round knows my team and knows that there's a Scarf on my Rotom, knows my Mega Sceptile set, and knows a bit about everything else. So we can assume that I'm not going to do very well. I'm just going to give you guys a little bit of a spoiler. There you go. So we're going to go look at top 8 now. Alright, battle video, here we go. Where's Jay? I don't know, let me know what you guys think about that one. N9C5. Alright. So this is leading off against Jordan Ju, a player who normally always tops this event. He didn't have the greatest of days, but he's using that new team, using Charizard and Weavile that's been popular. I think, what was that guy's name? Patrick recently won Arizona with it. And it's just the standard team. Weavile has become really popular now. Note that he also has potential for beat-up Terrakion combo with like Weavile Terrakion there. And obviously Cresselia and Charizard go great together. So this guy's a very, very standard team, and he knows how my gimmick works. He also has a Weavile, which like totally checks Sceptile super hard. So we're just going to start things off. We're going to get right into it. And I don't know. I'm happy I saved these. I'm happy I was not salty enough to not save these, but I get destroyed in this game. So he's going Weavile Charizard. I would have loved the discharge here. That would have been great. But if he knows you have a Scarf, he's not going to let you. If this was a regular Rotom, he would probably just go for a knockoff on it this turn. But I have to switch out. Switching out into Garchomp here. We're doing the same thing we did against Jellysound. Switching out, going into Garchomp here to potentially block a Fake Out. As we see him Mega Evolving with Charizard. I'm actually happy to see why. Charizard X is always just such a pain. And Charizard's going to activate that Drought. Like I said, I switched out there. I was assuming he's going to go for the Fake Out because that is his only Fake Out target. I led with this lead on purpose to force this turn. I'm also really happy that he has like Charizard there, because Charizard I expected to play very defensively after the first turn. But it didn't. I really expected it to protect, so that kind of sucks. We do get an Icy Wind off, which is great, so next turn's going to be awesome. But he like double, triple outplays me here and goes for the Tailwind with Charizard. So instead of me going for the easy Rock Slide double KO no problem next turn, we have to deal with super fast turn. And the reason why I stayed in with Garchomp and didn't protect, and did the same thing with Gengar, was I really thought he would see me going for a protect with Garchomp and an Icy Wind again, considering that would have negated his Tailwind. Yeah, he just attacked me and I'm gonna go down. And this is pretty much the turn that loses me the game. I mean, I could have protected with Garchomp and went for a second Icy Wind or like an attack on the Weavile or something. Well, I did go for an attack. I miss an Icy Wind on the Weavile, so that totally sucks. That's the one target I kind of wanted to hit, you know? So it means Weavile's still going to be faster than my Rotom. I would have still been fine in this game. But I missed that Icy Wind. Cresselia is going to come out, and This is just going to be too much for my team to handle at this point. I'm too far behind, and there's really no way that I can get this off. He goes for a beat-up play as I go for a discharge here. What am I really supposed to do? You know, I pick up the KO on the Weavile, so I'm not going to get 4-stocked. That's awesome. And we don't get a pair on the Cresselia, just an Terrakion to come in. And since we see Weavile doesn't have a Life Orb, we can assume Weavile has the Sash and Terrakion has the Lumberry. So we can pretty much assume that, oh no, it's not, no, it's still Lumberry, yeah, he's in a Tailwind. We can assume that Terrakion has the Lumberry. We're going to try and go for a discharge in a minute. This is actually really funny. This is really funny. I'm at 10 HP, right? 10 HP. I live. Only 9 HP done in my Scarf Rotom. That's ridiculous. I thought that would be kind of funny. As we go for a discharge here, the only way we win is multiple paras. And Tailwind's finally going to peter out. It looks like it's just in time for Sceptile to come in, right? Sceptile, the strong thing. I have the potential for, like, the combo with a discharge Lightning Rod. But remember, I got Icy Winded last turn. So we actually don't have the potential for the combo. We kind of just lose. And, yeah. Looking at it now, I noticed something I didn't notice. That's a Scarf Terrakion. That is still a Scarf Terrakion. Terrakion doesn't get faster than Sceptile. And I really noticed that during the game. I did not notice. So, oh well. We lose. GG. So that was the first game. I wrote down a little bit of notes. I noticed like the beat up Terrakion, and I figured maybe since he won this game so convincingly, and I noticed that like I could have just led Rotom and totally messed him up, he might actually try to go for Weavile Terrakion. So in game 2, I decided to switch it up a little bit. Remember, this is a best of 3. 3x HE. Ah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 2, T, N9CS. N9CS. There we go. Bam. Alright. So, this is game 2. He didn't switch it up that way. He switched it up completely differently. He just went full Cresselia. Full wall Cresselia. And he also brought Heatran and Landorus. So, we're going to start this one up. Hope you guys enjoy it. And, I don't know what to say, guys. I did my best. He knew the gimmick. Don't think I'm terrible. But, if the gimmick's out of the bag, and he knows everything about it, if he knows the Rotom's Scarfed, there's not much I can do. There's just nothing I can really do here. I am kind of happy with this lead. I have a % chance to, like, crying. I could potentially get a free discharge off. But he's going to read me. He's going to read me hard. He's going to switch out for Lando. And that's pretty much going to make it so discharge doesn't do anything ever. So, he gets a pretty good Intimidate off on my Arcanine here. Arcanine's then actually switching this turn. You guys have seen me do this before. I love being able to switch in a ground type. I love having 2 at my disposal. One being Garchomp, one being Gastrodon. I kind of want to switch it up and using Mamoswine like I used to. But I feel that that's too much weakness to Grass. So I really like Garchomp right here. As we see, I switch into an Icy Wind with my Garchomp. Holy moly, that sucks. That's the worst thing in the world, isn't it? That's pretty terrible. So I also know, just from talking to this guy, that he's running an Assault Vest on his Lando, so it's not like it's a Bandit or Choice Lando or everything like that. It's a very bulky Lando. I decide to switch out my Rotom because it's useless here. Into Arcanine, getting an Intimidate off on Lando is not the worst thing in the world, and I was just expecting him to go for like a knockoff or something, just because he knows that the Scarf is threatening. He goes for an Earthquake instead, which is definitely acceptable. It would have been able to potentially pick up a KO on Garchomp this turn. It would have definitely picked up the KO. I think he still gets the KO either way. As I go for the Dragon Claw, realizing that if I can take out Lando, Rotom can then come out and discharge everything forever. So he's going to go for the Icy Wind here. Garchomp's still going to go down. Earthquake was definitely the correct play there. And now Arcanine's slow. This Icy Wind is just tearing me apart. And, yeah, I send out Sceptile here. It's my only real play. My plan, I think, here is to protect here with Sceptile, lose Arcanine, and then try and combo him out. That's like the only real play I have here. And it's teams that have Weavile or very, very fast Fake Outers that give me a lot of trouble. Because I have to pretty much fodder something and then go for like a, you know, turn 2 or turn 3 board where I have Sceptile and Rotom on the board. But I've already foddered a Pokemon at that point. So I'm definitely playing from behind. when I try to avoid fake outers. And this series is just the perfect example of that. So if I were to take this team to a future event, I might use it again on Friday. That's just something I can work on. I'm actually thinking about taking out Garchomp for a Scrafty with an eject button. That way I can go for discharge, switching my Sceptile on the Scrafty. Like if I can go Rotom Scrafty, I can discharge my own Scrafty. Or I can go like Sceptile Scrafty and go for a fake out on something, and they make contact with my Scrafty with, like, let's say a Kangaskhan. I can switch in my Rotom right there. So that way I'm not foddering something. I'm getting maximum value out of an Intimidate from Scrafty, and I'm not losing any momentum. So I'm thinking about doing something like that. As we go for a Dragon Pulse here, we don't pick up a KO on Cress, and the knocking off of my Scarf pretty much just seals the game here. He goes for an Icy Wind here too, and that is the game. I'm pretty sure I either run this turn or the next turn. So, GG, rip and pepperonis, and that was my tournament. I ran right here, but the plan here for this tournament was top 8 get circuit points for Worlds. I wanted circuit points. I made a team that excelled in best of 1. I think the proof is right there. I mean, I went 5-0 through Swiss. I won every best of 1 I've played. This is actually the 13th game in a row I've won in Swiss with official Pokemon tournament things. So like at Lancaster, I went 8-0 with Mega Sceptile, and at this tournament I went 5-0. So in Swiss, in best of 1, Mega Sceptile's undefeated. It's best team ever. But then once you get into that best of 3 format, things kind of suck. And this is the perfect proof of it. I just wanted to get circuit points. I wasn't really trying to win. I also thought this would be streamed. So I wanted to use a team that I probably wasn't going to use in next weekend's regionals. And if I was on stream, I wanted to use something cool that, like I said, I would not use anytime soon at an official bigger event. And Sceptile was definitely my answer. It's definitely my favorite team to play. So I hope you guys learned something about using Sceptile. I think the biggest thing most people can take away from this is when you're using Sceptile and Rotom, or Sceptile and Thundurus, or whoever you're using as your discharge user, make sure to use discharge as much as possible. The thought of people potentially getting parried, or if their stuff's already parried, trying to play around the para is huge. You don't even have to pray for paras. Just that residual damage hitting people for 20 to 30% every single turn, it adds up. And I think the last 3 or 4 games of the tournament actually showcased that. It won me my game against Tom, Chemo's little brother, and it won me my round 5 game. Just the constant damage from discharge is the type of stuff that lets you win games. So at this point, I guess I could answer any questions you guys have about the team or what's going on for San Jose, but I'm pretty much done here. So if you guys wanted to, like I said, ask questions, go for it. I might be streaming something later today. I'm actually planning on it later, probably in about an hour, but I wanted to record this. I'm going to be putting it on YouTube, so if you guys got any questions, now's your time to go for it. And I'll just take a sip of my drink, because that's my plan here. Alright. Yeah, I just always have fun playing with Sceptile. It's by far my favorite team to play with, and it's just a barrel of fun. And people, the only way I can actually win a best of 3 is if people lose game 1 and they just go on tilt. Like, if people go on tilt, like, I can't believe I lost to that. And that's the only way I ever win in best of 3s. Because once they know it's a Scarf Rotom, they're like, oh, it's a Scarf Rotom. If I trick it into locking in the wrong move, it's GG. You want to try out my VGC team? Well, when I put this up on YouTube, I will leave a link to what this team is in Showdown. So you can just copy paste that, and you can try it all you want. For those of you guys that are wondering, I'm probably the person that created this type of team with Rotom, Heat, and Sceptile with Gastrodon. If you've seen this on ladder, it's because I topped with it early in the season, and I also used it in 2 or 3 tournaments before the official format was even announced. They were on like really big streams. So I'd like to think I'm like the father of Mega Sceptile, and this is like my little experiment. So there you go. I don't think I'm going to be using it at San Jose. I don't think I'm using it at San Jose. I think there is a tournament on Friday, and I'm probably going to be using a different team for that. And then on Saturday, I'm using a Zoroark team because I want to test that. If that does well, I will play it at the event. And then I have a cool team set up for the actual event itself. If you really don't like Fake Out into Ice types, why not chase the Fake Outer with a Rocky Pharaoh, which easily survives the Ice type. Okay, and does 1/4. That's an option, but if I have a team that has Sceptile and Ferrothorn in it, what do I like really do against like a Terrakion or like a Heatran? Because I can't bring all my Pokemon all the time. Like I said, I think Garchomp is a good in-between. A Rocky Helmet Garchomp's great, because what it does here is if I go like Rotom and Sceptile, they're going to want to fake out that Sceptile or hit it with an Ice attack. I can go for Discharge, Hard Switch into Garchomp for the fake out right there, and then next turn, I can go for a Protect with Garchomp, which may waste even more of the time. Like I said, I was not expecting Weaviles, and Weavile is just a certain type of Pokemon that has Ice attacks and fake out. The double, I hate fighting that. So we might switch it up a little bit. I think I could potentially use Ferrothorn. That is a great option. Are we going to do more tournaments? Yes, we are. We are going to do more tournaments. Once Regionals is done, I will be hosting more tournaments on the stream for Smash Brothers and Pokemon. So guys, I think I'm going to call it right here. Looks like no one else has any more questions. Thank you guys for watching my review from Mega Sceptile Top 8. Hope you guys learned something. If you have any more questions, leave me a message on Twitch or shoot me a comment in the YouTube description. Thanks guys. I'll see you guys in probably an hour with some Smash Brothers. Peace out.